Hi there, it's Rob from Onstage Lighting. Welcome to another one of our AutoCAD for Theatre tutorials. Today we're going to have a quick look at adding shapes together. So far we've learned how to make shapes to a certain size. We've used duplicate and copy and mirror to create other shapes. And also today we're going to really look at making slightly more complex shapes, the kind of things you'd want for particular bits of scenic construction or whatever. To be able to do those, one of the things you want to be able to do is to add particular basic shapes together. We're going to look at that now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a tool called Union to add two shapes together. And then the second part of it is we'll work out a similar kind of workflow to take one shape from another. So we'll end up with slightly more complex pieces of drawing based on just very primitive two-dimensional shapes that we add together. Okay, so go straight to AutoCAD then. What we're going to do is we're going to basically make up something which is created by two simple shapes. Now, I'm just going to draw a circle and a rectangle. As you can see, I've chosen today just to do it using the mouse without any keyboard entry, but I haven't done any dimensions or anything, so it doesn't really matter. Normally I would maybe use the keyboard to actually create these, because I would not want to create them of a specific size. What I've got here is basically two shapes, and what I want to do is I want to make one shape out of these two things, a bit like a funky swimming pool shape or something. Now the first thing we have to do to this is, in order to be able to do this union, we need to let AutoCAD know that we want these two shapes to become what's called a region. And that's kind of slightly strange to AutoCAD, really. That's kind of a thing that is, region's quite a special thing, and it's used for lots of different purposes. But the thing that we have to do in order to add these shapes together is we have to make sure that they're set to be a region first. If I don't do that, if you remember, the tool we were going to use was Union. Now what I can do is I can select the shapes up and I can choose Union, and then it says select objects, because it basically wants me to select them after the tool has been set up. And so I've selected objects, I've hit enter, and something's happened. But really, nothing has happened. As you can see, it's just kind of nothing's really changed. What I really wanted is to have this one shape. Now, so what I need to do is I basically need to set this region first. Now, if you saw just the one I did it just then, if I selected the shapes up first, unlike some of the other tools, I wasn't able to really do anything without reselecting them. So just bear that in mind. So the first thing we want to do is make a region from them. So I'm going to start typing REG, and you can see it says region there, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then it says select objects. Well, it's quite simple here because I just have to draw a box around the objects to get them selected, because there's nothing else in the way. And you can see there's little dotted lines around them, which means that in this particular instance they're selected. Until I hit enter, the selection hasn't finished. So if there was other objects in here, I could keep clicking on them. What I need to do now, because I've finished my selection, is I need to hit enter. So what I've done there, it doesn't seem to have done much, because it's just it seems rather strange, because we did something but nothing seemed to happen. Anyway, what we've done here is we've specified these two shapes to be a region, and so what we're going to do next is we're going to add them together using Union. The workflow is similar to creating region. Start typing in UNI, and you'll see it says Union on the list, and then it says select objects. So select objects by drawing a box around them. Don't forget, I have to hit enter next. Okay, that's what I wanted. What I wanted was these two shapes to add together. And actually, there's lots of other ways of leaving lines and taking lines away and all sorts of things, but this is basically what I wanted. I wanted this kind of weird, funky swimming pool shape. Okay, so this time what we're going to do is we're going to do a similar thing, but I need to chop a corner off this. So we're going to use the circle again. So I'm just going to create another circle in this corner, because I just want to cut a tiny piece off it to make it a little chunk taken out of it. Now, don't forget what we need to do in order to create this subtraction. We need to do the same thing as we did with the union. So we need to specify all the shapes as being a region. So if you remember how to do that, REG, enter, select all the objects, and hit enter. Now, that's created this region of the two objects, but nothing seems to have changed from our drawing point of view. The difference with subtraction from union is that we need to select an object to be taken away from and an object to take away. So obviously we could either use this big object to chop from the small one, or the other way around. So when you create the subtraction, unlike the union, you don't select all the objects at once. That can seem a little bit confusing to start with. So basically we need to start with subtraction. So subtract, enter, and then it says select objects. What it doesn't say is select the object you want to leave on the page when you've finished. You see, basically you select the first object is the one that you want to leave, hit select. Now you need to hit enter in order to finish the selection, and then it says select objects again. And what you're now going to do is select the object you want to take away. Enter again after the selection to say you've finished, and now you see what it's done is it's taken me a chunk out, taken me a little chunk. Okay, so that's how to create slightly more complex shapes using union and subtraction. Don't forget, you always need to specify the shapes as they have to be closed shapes, and they have to be basically made into a region before you can then use the subtraction or the union. Hope that's been useful. I'll see you soon.